Tonight, we wander softly into the glowing heart of a Victorian Christmas. A world where the first department stores shimmered behind fogged windows, where wooden trains, tin soldiers, and porcelain dolls carried the dreams of a new industrial age. In the quiet of winter mornings, children unwrapped small wonders crafted by distant hands, while parents exchanged simple gifts, gloves, books, and ribbons, tokens of affection in a world changing faster than ever before. Settle in, breathe slowly, and let the gentle story of how gift-giving became a cherished tradition guide you into a peaceful night. If the past brings you comfort, stay with us and drift into the calm glow of Victorian Christmas. The morning light creeps gently through a lace curtain. A small boy sits cross-legged beside the hearth, his eyes wide, his breath visible in the chill air. Before him lies a parcel wrapped in brown paper and tied with a red string. He unties it slowly, reverently, as though unwrapping a secret. Inside, there's a small wooden train, painted bright green, its wheels slightly uneven, but perfect in his eyes. Across the room, his mother smiles. The fire crackles softly. Outside, the frost still holds the street in silence. It is Christmas morning, somewhere in London, around the year 1865. For the Victorians, the exchange of gifts was not merely a pleasure, it was a philosophy, a reflection of the new world they were building. And in that world of steam, iron, and innovation, Christmas found its most lasting partner, the age of industry. Before the 19th century, Christmas gifts were modest things. A ribbon, a book, perhaps a hand-knitted scarf. They were often given on New Year's Day, not Christmas morning, and they were tokens of goodwill rather than expectation. But the Industrial Revolution transformed everything, how people worked, how they lived, and, inevitably, how they celebrated. Mass production made goods cheaper, more colorful, more accessible. The growing middle class, eager to express affection and success alike, turned the act of giving into an art form. Shop windows glittered with novelties, tin soldiers, music boxes, dolls with porcelain faces, and miniature carriages that mimicked the great trains of the age. Children who once received an apple or an orange in their stockings now awoke to small wonders crafted by distant hands. Imagine Regent Street on a December evening. The gas lamps cast golden halos through the fog, and every shopfront seems to sparkle. Behind the glass, scenes of enchantment unfold. Toy carriages with horses that seem to gallop in place, dolls dressed in silks, puzzles, mechanical birds that flutter their wings when wound, and books bound in red and green cloth embossed with gilt. Outside, people press close to the windows, their breath fogging the glass. Children tug at their parents' coats, pointing, whispering, dreaming. Inside, the shopkeepers smile knowingly. They have discovered something powerful, the spirit of Christmas commerce, which the Victorians would refine into an art of its own. The department store was one of the great inventions of the age. Places like Whiteley's, Harrods, and Selfridge's transformed shopping from a necessity into an experience. For the first time, one could stroll through vast halls of light and warmth, filled with music, scents, and the soft rustle of wrapping paper. Christmas turned these stores into cathedrals of joy. Windows became theatrical displays, each one a miniature fairy tale beneath the gaslight. Inside, attendants in crisp uniforms moved gracefully between counters, offering ribbons, perfumes, gloves, and toys. The air smelled faintly of cedarwood and peppermint. Even those who could not afford to buy would visit simply to look, to share in the spectacle. The Victorians, ever sentimental, loved this blending of fantasy and reality. The store window became a kind of dream, an invitation to hope. For children, Christmas was the moment the industrial age revealed its most human face. Toy making had once been a small, local craft, but factories now produced wonders in abundance. In Germany, particularly in Nuremberg, workshops turned out intricate tin soldiers and clockwork toys by the thousands. British firms soon followed suit, creating dolls with glass eyes, painted rocking horses, and model steam engines that puffed real vapor. The toys were marvels of miniature engineering, tiny worlds that mirrored the great one beyond the window. A boy might steer a wooden ship across a tinfoil sea while dreaming of the empire's distant ports. A girl might cradle a porcelain doll dressed in the latest Paris fashion, a reflection of elegance and possibility. Play, the Victorians believed, was not idleness, but imagination. And imagination, in their eyes, was civilization's truest fuel. As evening falls, the little boy with his wooden train winds the key once more and watches it clatter across the floor. His mother laughs quietly, her hands folded in her lap. The room glows with the light of a dying fire and the reflection of the tree's tiny candles. The gift, however, carried meaning far deeper than its material form. In an era of progress and production, the giving of presents was an act of sentiment, a way to affirm human connection amid the noise of machines. Writers of the day spoke often of the moral gift. A present was not to be given for vanity or competition, but for affection and remembrance. Books were seen as especially virtuous. A copy of A Christmas Carol, perhaps, or a collection of poems bound in soft leather. For children, educational toys were favored: microscopes, puzzles, and painting sets that taught as they entertained. To give a gift was to say, "I see you. I have thought of you." It was a quiet rebellion against the impersonality of the new industrial world. Of course, there were critics. Some moralists feared that the commercialization of Christmas would erode its spiritual core. Newspapers printed essays warning against the tyranny of trinkets. Clergymen preached sermons about excess, but even those voices softened in the glow of the season. For most Victorians, generosity, however expressed, was seen as a virtue. If a toy brought joy or a ribbon made a child smile, then surely it was good. And in truth, the abundance of goods also inspired abundance of charity. Shopkeepers organized collections for the poor. Factories distributed small presents to their workers' children. Churches held gift teas, and bazaars where the wealthy could buy handcrafted items, the proceeds going to those in need. The new economy had, in its own way, created new channels of compassion. In many homes, gift-giving became a cherished ritual. On Christmas Eve, the tree stood adorned with tinsel, candles, and small paper-wrapped parcels tied with colored string. Some were hung from branches, others nestled beneath, awaiting dawn. At first light, children crept down the stairs in their nightshirts, their hearts pounding with anticipation. The sound of paper tearing, of laughter echoing through the hall, marked the true beginning of the holiday. Adults, too, exchanged small presents: gloves, handkerchiefs, writing sets, or books of poetry. Husbands presented their wives with cameos or embroidered shawls. Wives offered cufflinks, pens, or cigars. Even servants might receive a coin or sweetmeat wrapped in ribbon. It was a time when class boundaries softened, if only for a day, under the shared language of kindness. One of the most charming customs of the period was the Christmas box, the origin of what we now call Boxing Day. On the day after Christmas, employers gave their workers small gifts or gratuities, often placed in boxes along with leftover food or clothing. Postmen, lamplighters, and tradesmen received these tokens with gratitude, their pockets filled with coins and cakes. In towns and villages, Children went door to door with sprigs of holly, singing carols and offering blessings in return for pennies or sweets. It was a humble economy of goodwill, one that bound communities together through simple acts of giving and receiving. Not all gifts were bought. Many were made, stitched, carved, written, or baked with care. A young woman might embroider a handkerchief with her initials for her beloved. A father might carve a whistle or toy for his child after long hours at the workshop. Mothers baked cakes wrapped in muslin and sent them to friends or family in distant towns. Homemade gifts carried an intimacy no store could replicate. They bore the marks of the maker's hand, the warmth of time spent, the quiet language of love made tangible. As the century turned, the gift-giving tradition expanded further. The Christmas season became a tapestry of commerce and compassion. Stores and charities, glitter and gratitude, all intertwined. The Victorians, in their industrious way, had managed to turn generosity into an institution. They had made giving both sentimental and sustainable. And though we might look back now and see the early seeds of modern consumerism, it is worth remembering that beneath it all lay something sincere, a belief that joy could be shared, that happiness could be multiplied through thoughtfulness. Even in the clang of factory bells and the glow of shopfront glass, there lingered a deeper rhythm, the heartbeat of humanity, steady and soft beneath the hum of machines. Night always seems to fall suddenly in winter. The light fades faster than we want, but there is something soothing about this early twilight, as if the darkness itself is telling us to slow down, sit by the fire and give our hearts a rest from the daily hustle and bustle. London is gradually quieting down. The footsteps of passers-by become rarer. The carriages roll noisily over the cobblestones only occasionally. And the air is filled with the scent of smoke, sweet spices, and winter wind. In the house of a little boy, the same one who had stared at his wooden train that morning, evening is gathering strength. The mother gently adjusts the candles on the Christmas tree, shakes a few pine needles from the hem, and pauses for a moment to watch her son slowly roll his toy across the wooden floor. The train creaks, swaying slightly, but in that creak is like a whole symphony for a child's heart. Nobody thought about the future then, about the era of large-scale production that would eclipse manual labor. No one thought that in 150 years such trains would become collector's items, nostalgia. At that moment, the mother saw only the present, the evening, the candles, her home, and the small miracle that shone in her son's eyes. Nearby, in the next apartment, another family is celebrating Christmas. A grandfather in a rocking chair is reading an old paperback book, and next to him, his grandson is listening attentively to every word. The shadow from their lamp sways on the wall, like a living fairy tale character. On the table, decorated with sprigs of mistletoe, lie small gifts, not all of them unwrapped, because in some families, gifts are opened not in the morning, but in the evening slowly, as part of a great ritual. No one is in a hurry here. There is depth in every pause of this cozy evening. There is room for memories, reflections, and soft silence. Outside the window, the light of the street lamps is reflected in puddles, where thin threads of ice are beginning to cling to the edges, as if trying to hold on to the night longer. A few streets down, you would hear another sound. Children's laughter. In the yard, 3 boys are chasing a ball, forgetting the cold. Their cheeks are red, their fingers are curled, but joy fills every movement. One of them has just received a new leather ball, the one that was sold in the window of Philip's shop on Oxford Street. The ball is a little rough, hand-sewn, but round and strong, a miracle for a working-class boy. Nearby stands his father with a cup of hot tea. He has worked in the factory for 17 years, his hands rough. But now they hold the mug with the same warmth with which he held a hammer or the levers of a machine during the day. He did not buy expensive things, but this ball is a small but important gesture, a sign that he wants a better life for his son. Deep down, he knows that this toy will become part of happy memories, perhaps one of those memories that his son will carry with him for the rest of his life. If you went up to the square, you would see the shop windows, the lights still on. Their decorations seem quieter now than they were during the day. But there is a magic in this silence. The workers are taking down some of the decorations, preparing for the next day, carefully folding figurines, ribbons, small mechanical toys. One young man working in the shop stops for a moment and stares at the miniature soldier he is holding. He is 20, he earns little, but he feels proud that the shop windows give people a holidays every day. These shops are a kind of theater of dreams. And although some see this only as commerce, in fact there is something important in these small scenes, the opportunity to give joy even to a stranger. And if you walk a little further, to the height above the Thames, you would hear other sounds. A choir. A group of adults and children sing carols under the light of a single lantern. Their voices are not perfect, but sincere, warm. Nearby is a small box with the inscription, "For the poor families of the district." People stop, listen for a minute or two, throw in a few coins. An old man, wrapped in an old coat, pulls a small package, wrapped in paper, tied with a rope, towards the box. It is a soft scarf knitted by his late wife long ago. He never dared to part with her, but today he decided someone will need her more. He does it without pathos, without words. He simply puts the package and disappears into the fog. That moment is also a gift, although no one recognizes his name. And so, returning to the house of the little boy with the wooden train, we see. The evening is slowly fading. The fire in the fireplace turns into a smoldering ember from which small shadows dance in the air. The mother hugs her son, covers him with a blanket. He is almost asleep, but the train is still standing next to his hand, like a little guardian of fairy tales and dreams. In this quiet moment lies the whole essence of giving. Presence, warmth, attentiveness. That train, although simple, will become for the boy a symbol of love, and for his mother, a memory of the time when he was little, and every sound, every gift opened up a whole universe to him. Some may say that industry has changed Christmas, and it is true. It has filled it with glitter, goods, novelties. But at the same time, it has made gifts more accessible, given people the opportunity to share goodness in new forms, opened the way to a more democratic, more human holiday. But despite everything, the essence has remained the same. Christmas has always been and will be about giving each other not things, but parts of ourselves. Our attention, our time, our love. And as long as at least one little boy falls asleep holding his wooden train in his hand, the world will not forget this simple truth. Thank you for spending this time in the silence of a Victorian evening. If you like such slow bedtime stories, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a calm comment, and come back for new tales of the past. May your home always have a little warmth, a little light, and a place for small gifts from the heart.